When Synchro summoning was added to the Yugioh TCG, it brought a lot of change with it. This was the first new major mechanic since the game had come out. Being so easy to summon, it's easy to see how Synchro monsters caught on. Now they're expected in many decks, and several rely on Synchro monsters alone. In this top 10, we're going to count down the top 10 level 8 Synchro monsters, easy to summon powerhouses that can fit into almost any deck with a tuner monster. Number 10. The Red Dragon Archfiend. After damage calculation, if this card attacks a defense position monster your opponent controls, destroy all defense position monsters your opponent controls. During your end phase, destroy all other monsters you control that did not declare an attack this turn. This card must be face up on the field to activate and to resolve this effect. The Red Dragon Archfiend is very useful for one thing, and that's to defeat defensive opponents. No matter how much defense points your opponent's monsters have, this will cut right through them and send them to the graveyard. Now, although this isn't very useful against attack position monsters, and in fact if something is stronger than a Red Dragon Archfiend, he won't be very useful at all, it can be extremely handy if your opponent is stalling. This will make it so they have no defense left, and any other monsters you have on the field should be able to attack directly. Number 9. The Crimson Blader. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, your opponent cannot normal or special summon level 5 or higher monsters during their next turn. This is a card that I've used quite a bit in a few of my decks because I really like how it slows down your opponent. If you have this thing out before your opponent has an even stronger monster out, that means you will keep their field extremely weak, because most level 4 monsters don't have 2,800 attack points. This means your opponent's going to need to defeat your Crimson Blader with either effects or some pretty tricky maneuvering. This will stop your opponent from summoning anything stronger than the Crimson Blader unless they're running a lot of rank 4 XZs. Number 8. Scrap Dragon. Once per turn, you can target one card you control and one card your opponent controls. Destroy them. When this card is destroyed by your opponent's card and sent to the graveyard, target one non-synchro scrap monster in your graveyard and special summon that target. The Scrap Dragon is generally a problem solver. If your opponent has a super powerful monster, destroy it. If they have a spell card that's giving them an advantage over you, destroy it. As long as you have one card to sacrifice, then you will be able to keep the field clear of any of your opponent's powerful moves. Also, if you do happen to be running a scrap deck, which if you are, make sure you're running Scrap Dragon, then you can also freely summon them when your Scrap Dragon finally goes down. Number 7. Thought Ruler Archfiend. If this card destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, gain life points equal to that monster's original attack in the graveyard. During either player's turn, when a spell or trap card is activated that targets exactly one Psychic type monster, you can pay 1,000 life points, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. As you've probably noticed, the Thought Ruler Archfiend is a Psychic type monster, meaning that its effect is able to protect itself. This means no spell or trap cards will destroy this thing, and with 2,700 attack, it's going to need a strong monster to take it down as well. Not to mention, if you're running a lot of other psychic monsters in your deck, this guy's a no-brainer because he can protect them as well. Although paying 1,000 life points every time isn't the best, with his other effect of gaining life points every time he attacks, you should more than make up for it and potentially have a whole lot extra life points to spare. Number 6. Hot Red Dragon Archfiend. Once per turn during your main phase 1, you can destroy all other face-up attack monsters on the field. Monsters other than this card cannot attack during the turn you activate this effect. This card is very good at clearing the field, essentially all of the monsters on the field, all of the face-up attack monsters. Now you may have noticed that this is a lot like the other monster on this countdown, the Red Dragon Archfiend. Well, the Red Dragon Archfiend takes out defense monsters, this one takes out attack monsters, meaning if you're running both of these in your deck, you should be able to deal with any problems assuming you have the right setup for either of these cards. Now, this won't stop spell and traps from stopping you, but taking out all of the attack position monsters on the field should give you a clear advantage to winning the duel. Number 5. Stardust Dragon. Once per turn during either player's turn, you can target one face-up card you control. Once during this turn, it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. As you can imagine, the Stardust Dragon can quickly become nearly invincible. When it attacks, you can use this effect on yourself, meaning trap cards will not be able to take you down. On your opponent's turn, if they have a stronger monster attacking you, you can use that effect once again, so they still won't be destroying you. Being able to use this effect on both your own turn and your opponent's turn makes this card extremely powerful. Not to mention you can use this effect on other cards, meaning if you have a difficult setup that you're preparing, you can protect that, while potentially sacrificing your Spark Dragon. Number 4. Colossal Fighter. This card gains 100 attack for every warrior monster in any graveyard. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can target one warrior-type monster in either graveyard and special summon that target. This card may not seem like a number 4 at first, gaining only 100 attack for specifically warrior-type monsters, but its second effect essentially can bring it back from the dead. A lot of times. Being able to bring back one warrior-type monster from the graveyard after you're sent to the graveyard means a Colossal Fighter keeps coming back every single turn it's destroyed. With 2,800 attack points, you're probably not going to be taking a lot of life point damage every time this happens either. This means a Colossal Fighter will eventually be able to overpower most opponents on the field, and if they or yourself happen to be running a warrior deck, it'll consistently gain power and become the most powerful monster on the field. And not be able to be destroyed too. That's a little bit of a bonus. Number 3. Starlight Red Dragon Archfiend. It's the last Red Dragon, I swear. This card's name becomes Red Dragon Archfiend while it's on the field or graveyard. Once per turn, you can destroy as many special summoned effect monsters on the field as possible with attack less than or equal to this card's. Then, inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each monster destroyed. Now, you seem to see a trend with these Red Dragon Archfiends. They like to destroy your opponent's monsters, which is very good, but Starlight sets itself apart because it also inflicts 500 damage for each monster destroyed. Now, it may seem at first glance that this card is a little bit more limited than the other two, having to destroy only special summoned effect monsters with less than 3,000 attack. However, in the current meta, that is most of the monsters you have to worry about. Special summoning is extremely common in fast-paced gameplay, and dealing 500 damage to each of those will be a nice little chip to your opponent to keep you ahead in life points. Number 2. Saiframe Lord Omega. Once per turn during the main phase, you can banish both this face-up card from the field and one random card from your opponent's hand, face-up until your next standby phase. Once per turn during your opponent's next standby phase, you can target one banished card and return it to the graveyard. If this card is in your graveyard, you can then target one other card in your graveyard and shuffle both that card and this card from the graveyard into the deck. The Saiframe Lord Omega is extremely good at limiting your opponent. This means you'll get to banish one of your opponent's cards every single turn this guy's on the field. Now, of course, he banishes himself in the process, but he'll come back during the standby phase. Your opponent's card, however, may just get sent to the graveyard, which means it won't be coming back. That means your opponent's going to draw a card every turn, but you're going to bleed one card from them every turn as well, meaning you keep drawing cards and having new situations, while your opponent is left with whatever they have at the time. So, this guy's very useful. And also, if that wasn't enough, you can also just send this guy to the graveyard and return him back to your extra deck, as well as any other card you think you might need. This gives the Frame Lord extra uses. Number 1. Stardust Dragon. During either player's turn, when a card or effect is activated that would destroy a card on the field, you can tribute this card and negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. During the end phase, if this card effect was activated this turn and was not negated, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. I have seen this card summoned so many times since I've started dueling. It is extremely useful considering, well, it can't exactly be destroyed by card effect, and not only that, it protects all of your cards from being destroyed by card effect. That means spells, traps, and monster effects, which are extremely common in the current meta. Now, it may have only 2,500 attack points, which is some of the lowest attack points on this countdown, but that's not really saying much when it can prevent everything else in the game from stopping it. Sure, a couple specific effects can get through it, but this thing will stop effects continuously and then just come back the next turn. Meaning either your opponent's going to need to have a whole lot of counters in one turn, or a very powerful monster to defeat the Stardust Dragon. On top of that, both this and the Stardust Spark Dragon can be used to summon even more powerful Stardust Dragons, which will then proceed to tear up the field. Anyway, that's our top 10 countdown of level 8 Synchro monsters. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more top 10 countdowns every week. Also, if you think we missed anything on this countdown, make sure to comment down below letting me know. This isn't a topic I'm extremely experienced in, so your guys' input is greatly appreciated. Anyway, that's all we have for today, so I'll see you next time.